Hello teachers, this is Adiatu. This presentation is about the acceptable use policies for teachers and students at Nantucket Elementary School. The school uses the policies set forth by Anne Arundel County School District. In our school district, computer and network access in classrooms, computer labs, and the school library is a privilege. It is not a right. Access to school computers and internet resources should be for academic purposes only. That is the purpose of an acceptable use policy. The main purpose of AUPs is to prevent digital harm to technology owners and consumers. There are a set of rules outlined in a document that informs users of how computer resources should be used. Now that we know the purpose of an acceptable use policy, let's talk about the elements of effective policies. AUPs include 6 essential features. The first is preamble, which is just statements explaining the need and the goals of AUPs. AUPs should also have a definition section that explains terms that are incorporated in the AUP. This is to ensure that everyone has a clear understanding of the policy. Another element is the policy statement. Such a statement may outline the benefit of email systems, ability to gain information from websites, and how to connect with other people through the use of instant messaging. The acceptable use section defines appropriate student and employee use of computer resources. Unacceptable uses gives clear and specific examples of what constitutes unacceptable student and employee use of computer resources. The most important part of the AUP is the sanctions section, and that's where procedures are established for reporting and handling of policy violations. The AUP for teachers is found on page 12 of the school district's employee handbook. It's designed for all employees, not just teachers. The school district describes several rules that teachers must follow when using computer resources. In this presentation, I will focus on 7 key rules. One of them is do not install unauthorized software onto your computer. You have to get permission before you do so. If there is a software that is available to you that you think will enhance the learning success of your students, please go to your principal, and she will know the necessary calls she will have to make to see if you can do something like that. Another rule is do not connect unauthorized devices to the network. So do not use your iPhone to log on to your school's Wi-Fi. It's against the rules. Also, do not use computer resources for sexual purposes. This is very important and illegal. You cannot use your school classroom computer or other resources to watch, let's say, pornography. Another rule is do not disable security software installed on your computers. I know it can get annoying when, a virus scanner is running in the background because it can slow up your system a little bit, but you are not allowed to disable the security software feature. Also, do not use your AACPS account on behalf of an outside organization. So you would not use your account to campaign on behalf of someone. Let's say someone that's running for office. You cannot do that. It's only within the confines of the school and the school district. That's the only time you can use your AACPS account. Also, do not use your email account to create or forward chain letters. It's very annoying and it's just unnecessary. And finally, if you see someone using the school district's computer resources in an inappropriate way, you have to report it. You can't be silent and pretend you didn't see it. You have to report it. There are consequences to violating the rules in the employee AUP. The first type of sanction that may hit you is administrative, and that's basically when your access to computer resources is limited or your privileges are just taken away. And the second type of sanction is disciplinary, and this is normally related to the serious ones like watching porn on your computer, things like that. You can get terminated or face criminal charges. I believe the school district did a very good job in um, setting forth their AUP. It's very thorough and it's very detailed and it's easy to follow. However, I would make two changes. The first change is to have teachers participate in a workshop regarding their AUP. Because the districts is so detailed, I think teachers need refresher courses. The teachers that I've spoken to, they can't really remember all the tiny details. And in addition, they also have to be knowledgeable of the students' AUP. So it's a lot to take in. So participating in workshops about the AUP a week or two prior to class, I think would be beneficial. And another change I would make is to extract the AUP from the employee handbook and um, just make a copy of it. I mean, you don't have to pull out the pages, but just make copies of those two pages and make it into a manual that will be given to teachers. And principals can do this. I think if teachers have like 2 sheets of paper that they can pin onto their wall for reference, I think that would also be beneficial. The acceptable use policy for students is found in the student handbook, which is given to each student at the beginning of each school year. In comparison to the AUP for teachers, the AUP for students is quite short. I would say that there are 3 main rules that need to be followed. The first is that students are not allowed to use computer resources without an adult present. Second, students have to use their own accounts to log in to computers or to the network. They cannot use another student's login information. And the last one is students must practice good citizenship. And there's a lot snowballed into that. It includes obeying copyright laws, using the computer for legal purposes, not engaging in cyberbullying. So those are the 3 main rules that must be followed for students. For students, violating the AUP has about 5 consequences. The levels of consequences range from 1 to 5, the 5 being most severe. However, I cannot find what exactly the consequences are. So a consequence will range from calling parents to suspension. So it's just I really didn't understand the consequence section. And also, there are 4 categories of computer misuse. The categories are not defined. I looked everywhere and I just could not find like what the categories are. So for instance, the first line, it says category 1. The level of consequence is 5. Okay, so I don't know what category 1 entails. And consequence number 5 there's many things that are in that consequence level. So it's very confusing. Here's another visual of the 5 levels of consequences and their related categories of computer misuse. As you can see, level 1, there were no categories defined. So, and it's like I said, the consequences and the categories, like the entire thing is just so confusing. It's not clearly defined. I would recommend 3 changes to be made to the student AUP. The first is students should participate in class lessons regarding their AUP, and this can occur during the first week of class. The second change is students should also be shown a multimedia presentation about digital citizenship, and this would include information about cyber literacy, cyber ethics. It's hard to be a good digital citizenship if you don't know what a good digital citizen is. So I think it will be beneficial for students to learn more about what it takes to use computer resources ethically and responsibly. And the third change I would make is to define the categories of computer misuse so that employees, students, and parents have a clear understanding of the resulting consequences. And also, I believe the consequences should be more streamlined. So I'm going to summarize this presentation in 3 points. First point is AUP for teachers is very thorough, but teachers need to be more aware of the policies. And teachers also need to be aware of AUP for students. Second point is AUP for students does not explain the categories of computer misuse. I believe the sanctions need to be better defined. And last, only minor changes are needed to the AUP for students and employees for them to be more effective. I think the district did an amazing job putting together their AUP.